Hello everyone and welcome back to another coffee talk. I am currently sipping a vanilla hazelnut iced coffee. I just added some ice cubes to it just to make it extra cold because it is so flippin' hot outside. So for today's conversation, I want to dive deep, swim into the depths of the topic, being the person that the younger version of you would be proud of. We're gonna take a journey inward, we're gonna do some self-reflection, and then we're gonna come out on the other side, hopefully feeling a sense of deeper connection with our inner self, our younger child, and also more appreciation for what we actually have achieved and have overcome in our lives. Obviously, the little version of ourselves wouldn't have ever been able to foresee what it is like to go through what you've probably gone through, what it's like to grow up, what the outside circumstances that you had no control over were going to be. However, I am willing to bet that if you could spend a day hanging out with little kid you, bringing them into your reality now, they would probably think you're the coolest person ever. So I really want to reap that energy. I really want to dive deep into it and hopefully, again, walk away with that sense of appreciation and also inspiration. Whether you're searching for your latest sneaker drop, that iconic handbag, a timeless watch, or your next piece of classic jewelry, eBay authenticators are there verifying every detail of your purchase. We're talking every inch, stitch, tick, facet, and clasp that make the piece that you're searching for worthy of your collection. eBay authenticators are experts in their craft, true connoisseurs, and as leaders in their fields, they're making sure that your items always arrive as authentic as your style. So go ahead, treat yourself. Get that piece that you've always wanted, and leave it up to the meticulous eyes of the eBay authenticator to make sure that watch movement is original, that glimmer is real gold, that rare sneaker is legit, or that handbag is really made out of genuine leather, and never get faked over again. In a world that can be full of fakes, it is time to get real with eBay Authenticity Guarantee. Everyone deserves real. Visit ebay.com for terms. We'll take a start with going through the accomplishments that we've already made, and then we'll dive into areas of improvement, areas of growth. Before we can do that though, just take a second, take a moment. You can close your eyes if you'd like to, or just stare at a window, be all dramatic. When was the last time you had a conversation with your younger self? Or have you ever had a conversation with your younger self? I don't even know what I would call it. Kind of, I guess, like meditation that you could do in a way, where you really just call on the version of yourself that you feel pops into your mind when you think of yourself when you're young, which actually is a very interesting question. When I tell you to think about your younger self, what age pops into your head? Maybe you haven't visited your younger self in a really long time, or maybe you think about your childhood quite often, but either way, imagine you could take that version of yourself and show them what your day-to-day looks like right here, right now, what your morning routine looks like, what your bedroom looks like, or your house, or where you're living looks like, what your job looks like, or what you're studying in school, or who your family is, who you love. When you think about the things that the little version of you thought was so cool or thought was so interesting, specifically about adults, like I remember I would go grocery shopping with my family and be so excited for the day that I would go myself and I would buy things for my own home and I would have my own food. And I used to buy like plastic straws and plastic cups and pretend to have my own house in my bedroom. So to think about taking that version of me and bringing her here today and being like, yo, we do groceries once a week for our actual home, for our actual family. Look at the glass dishes in your cupboard. Look at the fridge full of food that you have purchased. Like just something that simple, I feel like little me would just be over the moon about and would be so excited about. I would feel so adult, you know, that's what I wanted when I was little. And to think that I'm doing something so simple now that for the most part, I mean, I do it mindlessly. I kind of take it for granted. I do love getting groceries, but I've done it so often now that I don't think about it through that lens of my littler self, that at one point in my life, thinking about that sense of independence and that sense of authority and that sense of maturity left me feeling motivated, excited, and just like looking forward to that day. You and Christine are still kicking it, or you meet this really cool friend named Larissa, or you end up moving into the same like town area as your sister while you guys go through having children. Like that would be so cool to be able to go back in time and tell my younger self that. And I just know that looking again at my life right now through that lens, it makes me feel more accomplished. It makes me feel more proud of where I've landed today, which can be a really powerful thing to feel, because I do think that for the most part, specifically anybody that does spend time on social media, there's so much of our day spent thinking about the things that we haven't done yet, thinking about the things that other people are doing, or thinking about the things that we should do or plan to do, or goals or whatever it is. And that can leave us in this lack mindset of we're not doing enough, we don't have enough, we're not there yet. And we're always waiting to get to that next step, that next milestone. But if you actually stop and appreciate what you've done from the time you were whatever age you're picturing right now to today, you've done so much. And if anything, it's like you've done more than you probably ever thought you would do. And from that standpoint, it makes you realize how full your life really is. There's also space here to go through the resilience you've had. Think about the things that you've gone through that really tested you, that really challenged you, that you overcame. Again, I remember being little, and this is so silly, but I remember thinking like, I would never be able to drive. It scared me, the thought of having or operating a vehicle fully within my control. And then to think now that I'm a very comfortable driver, I'm a very relaxed driver, I'm a very confident driver. That's a very simple version of what I'm talking about here. But even the things that used to scare younger you, or maybe the things that actually scared adult you or even teenage you, that you went through, that you got through to the other side, that you've grown through, that you even, maybe you've gone to therapy, maybe you've gone and taken charge of your health, maybe you've taken charge of certain situations that you were stuck in as a kid, and you almost did that for little you, even if you didn't realize you were doing it for little you. Like you got out of toxic situations, or you healed trauma that you maybe endured from your family or had in your upbringing, or whatever it is, you know. I mean, everybody's situations are so unique, so it's hard for me to think of like every possible example, but sit and think about the things that you've had to be strong for, that you've had to be resilient about, that you had to overcome and learn from and grow from, and you have scars, but they're part of your story. Because even that, again, I think if we were to bring our younger selves down and sit them at a table and be like, let me tell you a story, or let me show it to you, if you think about it from that perspective as well, you're going to, again, give yourself a lot more credit than you probably do. It's a mindful practice. If you actually do sit with this feeling, you can do it after the podcast, or you can do it and pause it right here, right now, and sit with that feeling and revert back to being that age, and imagine sitting across from yourself now, seeing yourself now, and telling yourself these things, what that little version of you would feel, because that version of us is still within us. It's almost like there are these Russian dolls, and I can't think of the exact word for them off the top of my head, so I apologize, but it's those dolls where there's like a big one and you open it, and then there's a littler one inside, and you open that one, there's a littler one inside that, and it keeps going, right? All the way down to the tiniest little one. Inside of yourself are all of the versions that came before you. Every single year, every single time you've circled the sun is within you. It's just a layer underneath who you are right now. So you absolutely do have access to go back to that version, to go back in time, to be back in that skin, to be back in that body, to be back in that mindset, and to feel what you would have felt then. Or furthermore, you could go back there and heal things or work on things. I mean, again, there's so many ways that you could go with this, but specifically if you were to use that practice and go back and listen to or see what your life looks like today, and truly feel what that version of you would feel from seeing it. Like, how proud would you be? How excited would you be? How amazed would you be? How that version of you would feel being able to see your life as it's turned out today, and all of the open canvas that's still out in front of you. I'm planning on doing an entirely separate chat, either next week or the week after that, about mothering your inner child, or taking care of your younger self in the means of taking care of yourself today. So I won't dive too deep into this section of our chat today, but I think also a really important mindset to take into this making your younger self proud is to appreciate your growth and appreciate the ways that you've matured, appreciate the wisdom that you've gathered in your life so far, appreciate the care that you take for yourself, even just the small trial and errors, the little things that you decided and then you actually took the courage to be like, nope, that's actually not for me, I'm gonna go this way instead. the moments that are all of the in-betweens that we don't really think about as much anymore, but they're still just as much a part of our story and a part of what made us who we are today. I'm talking past relationships that didn't work out, or friendships that actually maybe didn't work out either, jobs that maybe didn't work out. Those years were filled with wisdom. Those years were filled with memories. Those years were even filled with in-between moments of boredom, of maybe you went through some periods of depression. Maybe you went through some periods of trials and challenges, or lows or highs, and all of the things in between. Maybe you have some of your favorite memories, like concerts you've gone to, or trips you've taken, or milestones that you feel you've hit along the way. And all of those moments come into the wisdom that is who you are today. So again, I can only imagine that if you were to sit down with your younger self, the personality that your younger self would be able to see you grow into, the maturity, the change in your voice, the ways that certain seeds we started as children, whether it was creativity or certain interests or certain hobbies, what they've flourished into at this point in our lives. All of the things that have now created a deeper understanding of who you are. This is a little bit of a brain warp, but give me a second here. Let me try and explain this. Imagine younger you could watch present you without present you knowing it. Meaning watching you go through a day, but you're not interacting with your younger self. Your younger self is just watching you, almost like they're watching the Truman Show, almost like they're watching TV, or almost like in, like A Christmas Carol, where Scrooge gets to go with the ghost to watch past versions of his lives and future versions of his lives. Imagine that, how you interact with people, how you pick your music, or just like your energy, the way your energy emulates in your life. And imagine again them being able to see the growth in your personality, them being able to see the growth in your wisdom and your maturity. Pause right now. Look around at your life. Look what's in your hand. I mean, even look at the advancements in technology. It doesn't even have to be about you. Look at how the world has changed, how life has changed. You have full control over the efforts that you place your mindset on, right? So try to direct your mindset to the things that would be really cool to younger you. And not to just gloss over the things that obviously are hard. And when you do grow up, obviously there's that earth-shattering moment where you realize that life isn't that fairy tale that we're sold when we're younger. However, life in itself is quite incredible. In fact, it's more than incredible. I can't think of a word for it right now, but just the fact that now that you've grown, yes, there are some terrible things that happen in the world. There are some terrible things about the reality of humanity, for sure. And I can hold space for that. But I have to say, with growth and with maturity has also come the understanding of the exact possibility that the earth exists, that you exist, that I exist, that this exists. And that alone is enough to be awestruck about. You have control to direct your mindset towards those things, like the idea that the sun shines, that there's such thing as flowers, that there's such thing as music, that technology, yes, while it can have its downfalls, is also incredible, that you can listen to music at the touch of a button. You can place headphones in your ears and go for walks. And I think focusing on those things, showing younger you, your independence, showing the ability to choose your day-to-day, and even just the small areas like how you take your coffee, how you have your breakfast, whatever it is. I just feel like, yes, it can be a little bit overwhelming to think about the ways that when we were kids, we thought everything was so safe. There is a point in our lives that whether you've gone through it already, or you're maybe going through it now, or you might not have gone through it yet, and I really hope that I'm not about to trigger it for you, although it's best that you just get through it, because when you do get to the other side, you're able to hold the nuance of more than one truths being true at the same time about our reality, about our existence. However, going through that kind of dark phase where you realize that life isn't that fun, protective little bubble that you may have had at one point when you were a kid, and then realizing that, again, there is no true real feelings of safety. However, that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to feel safe. There are ways to create safety around you. It's still the fact that all of it even happened, the fact that you're here, the fact that it all exists is still worth also holding space for the truth for. That is incredible. It's amazing. When you were a kid and you looked at the world and the whole world seemed so endless, it seemed so open, it seemed so magical. There is space for that still in adulthood. You don't have to lose that. that's a choice to hold on to. It's just like any mental tool, it's something you can sharpen. It means that two truths can be true, and you're allowed to hold the nuance of that. In fact, the maturity that comes in adulthood gives you the ability to actually understand the complexity of that nuance. Let's move on because I've already been talking a lot today. To anybody listening today that feels like you struggle with food controlling you, or that you need to manage your weight for health reasons specifically, then you're going to want to hear about Noom. Noom uses science and personalization so that you can manage your weight for the long term through Noom's psychology-based approach. It actually helps you build better habits and behaviors that are easier to maintain. Plus, you'll get a better understanding behind the choices that we make when it comes to food and our health. The best part is you decide how Noom fits into your life, not the other way around. Based on a sample of 4,272 Noomers, 98% say that Noom has helped them change their habits and their behaviors for good, feeling happier and healthier on the other side. What Noom can do is it can help you better understand the science behind your eating choices and why you have certain cravings. Plus, as I mentioned, they have personalized courses that are easy to follow and will help you grow your confidence and give you the tools to help you put into practice on day one. They will give you the knowledge and the wisdom that you need to make informed choices about what you want to eat and fuel your body with. Plus, they're changing how the world thinks about things like weight management and weight loss from a healthy, psychology-based perspective. Again, I just want to reiterate that this is specifically for anybody that struggles with feeling like food controls your life or like your weight controls your life, and that you want to do this for health reasons and feeling like you just want help but don't know where to get it or don't know where to start. So this is a great place to go. So if that's the case, then you can sign up for a trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. As we just talked about the beauty of nuance, let's move into the areas of growth. This, again, takes maturity to be able to hold space for like, wow, yeah, little me would be so proud of this, and this. But if I'm going to be honest and real with myself, little me would be like, what the heck about this or whatever it is. And this is super interesting to do through the lens of your younger self, because perhaps even your younger self wouldn't have thought of these things. When we grow up, that reality gets shattered a little bit, where we realize that it's like Catcher in the Rye, right? Like we're all running towards adulthood. We all want to grow up. We all want independence. We all want our freedom. And then we turn into adults and we look back at children and then we're like, stop running, right? Like don't rush into adulthood. Like enjoy the freedom, enjoy that cloud that you're still in, where the world is still that magical place and nothing has really hurt you yet. Again, though, as an adult, you have the nuance, you have the ability to hold both truths. So moving into the areas of life that you feel like might need some work, this comes from doing it for your younger self, even if your younger self wouldn't have the ability to fully comprehend or understand the areas of your life that need work. Ideas that pop into my mind with this are like attachment issues or bad habits that have developed over the years, maybe financial issues, perhaps it's getting a job, getting a career. Like, is there a dream that you never ended up pursuing, but it's still a part of you? It's still something you think about. Are there relationships in your life, specifically with people that you maybe loved as a child, that have grown apart? And that's not to say that you need to heal that relationship, but more so just to take a moment to, if you had to explain it to little you, how would you? I'm not the closest with my mom, and it would be interesting to sit down with my younger self and explain that to myself, because as much as I would love to have that be a completely different reality, a completely different truth, I have made the trial and error of learning where my boundaries can be with that. And so how would I explain those boundaries to my younger self? Like, what would I do to explain to my younger self, like, it's okay the way things turn out. I mean, as okay as it can be. However, you've done the best you can. And not only that, you're learning from that relationship and growing in this way. That said, maybe you do want to heal that relationship. Maybe you do have a relationship in your life that you want to work on, a friendship you lost when you were little that you think about often. Maybe you just need to reach out to them. You always thought you would go into a certain field and you never ended up doing it, or you let go of a dream, or you let go of a hobby, or I don't know. It's, again, really hard because everybody is going to have a different answer to this. I think one of the deeper areas that I've experienced with feeling like I've let my younger self down, and I want to talk about this, but I also want to highlight that I don't want this to come with shame. And I say that because I've gone through areas of my life or times in my life where I felt shame for choices that I made, where I knew that, again, I was letting down an inner version of myself, which in all reality, I was letting down the younger version of myself. When I think about those times in my life, I actually grew a lot from them. I actually learned a lot from them, but it was times where I felt like I wasn't living in my values. And something that is super interesting about kids in particular is that children tend to be able to live fully in their truth because they haven't learned to question their truth yet. So let me just say that it's okay if at some point throughout your life you lost touch with what you truly value, or if at some point in your life you made some bad choices that aren't aligned with your morals. And I say that because, again, I don't want that to be laced in shame. Shame creates so much more work for you in the long run. So if you can actually hold space for, okay, even if right now in this day and age of your life, you actually feel like you're not living in alignment with your truest values, it's okay. You don't have to shame yourself. Somewhere along the way, you were taught to question, or you were shown to question your truth, or question who you are and what is important to you, whether it was just the very, very human experience of wanting other people to accept you, or wanting to feel adored or loved or chosen or whatever it is, or maybe it was that you had to go against your values to get that big opportunity, get that promotion, get that job, whatever it is, like, forgive yourself. You can choose different. You can veer yourself back in a new direction. That is within your control. There are areas of your life that you might not feel so proud to show your younger self, and if that's the case, take a really good hard look at those areas and now take full control of those areas and decide better for yourself, choose better for yourself. This isn't about criticizing yourself or creating a layer of shame around the areas of life where you either were trying to survive or you made the very, again, human mistake, which humans are bound to make mistakes. Humans are flawed. We are all flawed. Whether we like it or not, there is not one person on this planet that is not flawed or has never made a mistake. And so if, again, you can depersonalize it in that way, but at the same time, while you depersonalize it, it's not, again, letting yourself off the hook to continue to do that. It's more so letting yourself off the hook from the shame around it and realizing, like, hey, everybody does it, but now I've gained the knowledge and wisdom and will choose better, so that if I were to ever come back to this mindset or this practice and show my younger self my life again in a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, I can show them, yes, it's still just as cool, but look at these areas that I've improved. Whether you're searching for your latest sneaker drop, that iconic handbag, a timeless watch, or your next piece of classic jewelry, eBay authenticators are there verifying every detail of your purchase. We're talking every inch, stitch, tick, facet, and clasp that make the piece that you're searching for worthy of your collection. eBay authenticators are experts in their craft, true connoisseurs, and as leaders in their fields, they're making sure that your items always arrive as authentic as your style. So go ahead, treat yourself, get that piece that you've always wanted, and leave it up to the meticulous eyes of the eBay authenticator to make sure that watch movement is original, that glimmer is real gold, that rare sneaker is legit, or that handbag is really made out of genuine leather, and never get faked over again. In a world that can be full of fakes, it is time to get real with eBay Authenticity Guarantee. Everyone deserves real. Visit ebay.com for terms. Let's make a note. We will come back to this practice a year from now, or at least I'm gonna host space to come back to this a year from now. July 2024, we're coming back to this practice. So whether you have a journal or you use your phone notes or you use Reminders app, whatever you use, set a reminder or write a journal post right now that you're gonna come back to this practice a year from now and see the ways that you've grown even more. I'm gonna ask you one question in particular for this. What actions can you take right now that would make not only your younger self proud when you touch back in a year from now, but also relieved and excited about life? That is going to be a very, very important answer. What is bothering you the most right now in your life that you feel like would make younger you feel anxious about this phase of your life? And what actions can you take? What control do you have that when you come back to this a year from now, you're gonna give that younger version of yourself the relief and the excitement to, like, know that it was handled, know that you handled it. Reviving an old dream, fixing a relationship, pursuing a certain hobby or career, overcoming a bad habit. Maybe it's working on your health. Maybe it's choosing better friends or surrounding yourself with better people. Maybe it's stopping frivolous spending or stupid spending or paying off your debts, or saving up money so that you can buy a house, or you can do the things that you feel like are going to make you feel more secure in a year. Coming back into touch with the things that you value, living through your values. Whatever it is, make a commitment, make a promise to your younger self right now that you're going to spend the next year thinking about this, focusing on it. You can trust your subconscious more than you think, okay? Your subconscious got you from that younger version of yourself to who you are today, for the most part, without you really needing to pay much attention. Obviously, I think it is, at least in my opinion, worth trying to stay conscious and being as conscious as we can. There are always going to be things pulling us out of our consciousness, pulling us away from our presence. And again, too, when you have too much on your plate, it's impossible to stay conscious. It's impossible to stay present. So if this is something that you truly do believe is the major focus of your life, the major depleting energy of your life, the thing that causes you the most anxiety or to feel the least rooted and safe in your life, then try to keep your presence on it. Take the curiosity of a little kid who's not worried about failure and go at it through that mindset. Again, doing it for little you, like, I wonder how much money I could save up in a year, or I wonder if I could make this a fun project for myself, or I wonder if I really just tried to go for that dream, what might happen? And start working on those aspects of your life for your younger self's sake. As we wrap up today's coffee talk, and I actually just wrapped up my coffee. Still never too late to do the things that you want to do that would make the younger you even more happy, even more proud, even more excited. No matter who you are listening to this, even if you don't feel it, I'm gonna take a wild guess that you need to give yourself the credit if you don't feel it, that you've already accomplished a lot more than younger you probably ever thought you would be able to do. Whether you've had to overcome a lot of hardships or whether you've done the things that you dreamed of, whatever it is, you've grown a lot from that version of you to this version of you. And there is still so much potential that, again, there's still so much canvas still left to be painted, and you can do so for little you, but also from little you, like with that curiosity, with that fun, with that magic, with that imagination and that lightheartedness that little you had, or that little kids tend to have. That's my coffee talk today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I would be really interested to know if you do feel comfortable sharing what little you wanted to be or thought life would be like when you were older, and what aspects of your life now that you think little you would just be blown away by. I think it would be really cool because everybody's life is obviously so different. While I'm sitting here telling you that my little self would think it's amazing that I live in this cool little house on a big plot of land surrounded by nature, or if I could show little me my son or my partner or my dog or my job or my closet, like those things would, or my Jeep, like my little me would be, I just got goosebumps. My little me would just be so flippin' excited. And that's just one example. And wherever you are on the planet, whatever life you're living right now is going to be so cool to the little version of you too, and so different from mine. So I would love to hear what that would be like for you. What about your life now little you would just think is the coolest thing ever. And then I can also think it's the coolest thing ever, and anybody else listening and scrolling through the comments can do the same as well. And just outside of that, I'm cheersing you guys my empty coffee cup, and I will talk to all of you guys next week. Be sure to tune back in. We're gonna have a big giant separate chat about how to take care of yourself or mother yourself in a lot of ways. And other than that, I will chat with you guys all then. Bye everyone. I just want that whole coffee talk, not even acknowledging that we have a whole new setup. I hope you guys enjoy it. I feel like it feels more like you're sitting across the table from me now with an actual cup of coffee on it. So that was intentional. Bye guys.